Welcome back to Midlife by Design. I am your host, Lori Lisai, human design coach and mentor for midlife women, helping you shed the shoulds and remember who the fuck you are. Thank you so much for tuning in today to the second in a very short series celebrating the pod, because it is 1 year old and I could not be more pumped about it. And I love just taking a few short episodes here to celebrate this amazing milestone. And hey, I thought it only fair to give my listener, or one lucky listener, a birthday present with a giveaway. So listen in for the details on that. And without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome back to Midlife by Design, our second episode this week to celebrate the birthday, because Midlife by Design is officially 1 year old. I released the original trailer on June 27th of 2024, and I am just so excited and so proud of what this podcast has accomplished. And I wanted to both celebrate it with you, as well as, well, birthdays are all about gifts. So giving a gift, which hang in till the end of the pod. This is a short one, and I will tell you just what I am giving away. So getting into the human design of the show was under gate 52.4 intentionally. So when I actually birthed and put out the trailer itself, it was meant to be released under the influence of the sun in the gate of stillness. And as you know, that is my sun gate. And it's because I wanted this pod to bring you the stillness to come home to yourself. And it's in line 4, which is all about community and networking. And that component of the podcast is something super important to me. I want it to feel like a community. I want you to all know that you are part of this Midlife by Design, the midlife mavens that I talk to. And I want this community to be of women who are reflecting possibility to you. So the guests that I bring onto the show, and when you interact with me in my DMs on Instagram, like all of that, I want to be an opportunity for you to have your brilliance and your beauty reflected back to you. The first 2 episodes that I were dropped on July 15th of last year under the influence of gate 62. And gate 62 is all about taking complex, esoteric information and ideas and communicating it, translating it essentially. So you really can't make this shit up, can you? I fucking love human design. So this is all about what the pod is here to do for you, to take human design and distill it down into practical pieces that you can use in your life to find your way back to the woman that you want to rediscover, because so many of the pieces of you have been covered with layers of conditioning and you following shoulds instead of following your values. And so this is in large part what the purpose of this whole podcast is about. And today's pod is being released under the influence of our sun transiting gate 39, which is the gate of provocation. It's this activist, kind of sacred rage energy is how I see it. It's like the poking the bear kind of energy. And this show has the inner workings of activism and maybe a not so quiet rebellion, because it's all about taking our rightful place in the world as midlife women and stepping into leadership, being seen as the beautiful leaders and wise women that we are, having lived decades, having experienced heartbreak, having experienced failure, having come through it, and you're still standing. And it's also about this refusal to let midlife be reduced to our physical symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. So it's not just about hot flashes and hormonal chaos and brain fog. Yes, those are part of what we live on a daily basis, but they don't define us. As you know, I'm a big proponent of saying that those symptoms of our body are just ways for our body to communicate with us. So a year later into this podcast, I understand so deeply that this pod is symbolic of a sacred threshold for all of us in midlife. And human design is our compass. It's our personalized compass. So I want to share just a few of the words that have come from the women listening to this pod, the women who have worked with me, the women who have reached out and shared with me their struggles, just as examples, because again, I want to hold up that mirror to you so you can see this is the community that you are in as part of the Midlife by Design listenership. So one woman talked about being so terrified of spending 10 to 20 years living a life that doesn't really feel like what she wants. Like, I don't want to spend another 10 to 20 years living a life that isn't really what I want. And sometimes it takes you living that long, which think back to your being in your 20s. It's like a decade seems so long to you, right? Because it's half your life when you're in your 20s. But now that you're in your 40s, 50s, and beyond, it's like, okay, sometimes it takes you a decade to figure shit out. And so I just want to honor that and understand that, especially if you have an emotional authority, if you have a split definition, if you're a lunar authority, there are so many reasons why it might take a long time for you to take action on things. And this is a space where we learn how to trust our inner compass, and we learn how to regulate and take care of ourselves so that we can take action that feels aligned. Because when we're in this constant state of fight or flight, it's hard to take those actions when it feels so unsafe. Another woman said, I want to trust myself and not feel so behind all the time. So this feeling of like I missed the boat on something, or I feel like I should already be so much further along. I'm in midlife. I should have this shit figured out. And that's just not always the case. Honestly, I feel like it's not usually the case. I think the reality is that every woman in midlife is still figuring it out. It's a process, right? And human design is one of those tools that helps you look within to say, oh, okay, this is actually how I'm meant to function. It's how I'm meant to take action. This is the environment I can be in to support myself, for example. So learning those things about yourself is honestly, most times, never a revelation like, oh my God, I never knew that. It's more this like sacred remembering. Another one of my listeners said, I'm struggling to feel present, and I should feel like it's a life that is aligned with the things that I value and what I hold near and dear to my heart. It's not necessarily reflected in this life that I'm living. And how do I make better choices to get me back to this life that I want to live? And again, I love to direct you to the basics, your strategy and authority. Always come back to practicing that. And the other things in your human design can give you more specifics. So these are just some of the things that a few women have shared with me. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you was what have been the top episodes for Midlife by Design, and what is it that you want to hear more of? So episode 55, Am I in Perimenopause, has been widely downloaded on the Midlife by Design podcast. And it's clear to me then that women are looking for answers as to what's going on that aren't just clinical, but are more holistic. And that episode helps to parse some of that out and obviously look at perimenopause through the lens of human design. Episode 58 is another highly downloaded episode, and also one of my client stories about one of my clients who I call Jennifer. And the fact that this was so highly downloaded told me that so many of you can see yourselves in the stories of my clients. So that is also a mirror for you. It's a reminder for you of how human design can help you. And of course, it's also an invitation for you to work with me and to let me guide you through using human design to come home to yourself. Episode 57, which was about why perimenopause feels so different for you as compared to some of the things that you may be reading online, and what human design actually has to say about that. Another great episode focused on perimenopause through the lens of human design. Episode 56 was all about the G center and how the G center or identity center, that diamond-shaped center in the center of your chart, is helpful in understanding how to navigate midlife reinvention, how to navigate finding your direction and your purpose in midlife. So awesome episode if you haven't caught that one yet. And then earlier on in the pod, I had a few episodes that were focused on energy types. So episode 8 with generator Kristen Ciramelli was very highly downloaded. And as you know, generators are the most common of all of the types, so maybe no surprise there. And then episode 21 with Gala Darling, which was all about like, fuck the ordinary. She's an Aquarius queen. If you aren't familiar with Gala Darling, she is a huge proponent of EFT tapping and manifesting, using that as a tool. And she's a manifester, and what an amazing human. So if you haven't caught episode 21 yet, highly recommend you go check that out. So those have been some of the highlights. And again, I want to invite you to leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me a DM on Instagram and let me know, what do you want to hear about? Where are you stuck in midlife? What do you want me to do an episode on to support you? Or what have been some of your favorite episodes? And we'll get to that in a little bit. So a couple of things I wanted to share about my own reflections in terms of like what I've learned and about my business. And the first one that I want to mention is that I am in the experiment too. So I first learned about human design in 2019 and started to experiment with it. And so it's been about 6 years at this point that I've been in my experiment. Ra says that you've got to be in your experiment for a full 7 years before you're deconditioned. I would maybe argue that it might even be longer, just because there's so much deconditioning the older that we get. You know, it's like if you take a 20-year-old and spend 7 years deconditioning, that's a whole different story than it is for a midlife woman who has decades more life experience and shoulds all piled on top of her that she's been living. So I'm not here to be like the sage on the stage. I'm getting muddy right in the middle along with you. I am simply sharing with you a compass that I have tested myself, that I am continuing to test, and that I am continuing to use. So I'm in my experiment. And most recently, I've been focused back on strategy, one of the top 2 pieces of human design that are most important. It always comes back to your strategy and authority. and understanding what that tells you and understanding how to use it. And I have been practicing on some of those basics with my membership community. Shout out to those gorgeous women who are not only learning, but also using human design in their real lives and dedicating themselves to experimenting in real time. And that includes me. So I'm here to share those musings and to reassure you that I'm right in it with you. And I will say that in the last month, kind of coming up to my birthday, I feel like I just hit a wall and really had to slow down, like moving into that gate of stillness. I was so ready for it. And there were some other transits happening that I think highlighted this struggle, but I feel like I really needed some time to reflect on the last year. And in the last year plus a little bit more, I feel like I have become so crystal clear on who I am serving and, most importantly, why it's important. I feel so passionately that midlife women are here to change the fucking world. We are here to make this place a better place. And if there's anyone who can do it, it's us, because we are primed as women who have lived enough decades to have built the wisdom that we need in order to inform our decisions, as well as coming back to yourself and using your human design as a guide for moving forward, and for shouting that from the rooftops, how important it is to truly be yourself, to live by your values, to not be afraid of disappointing other people because you feel like you're going to let them down or you're going to break some societal norm. It's like, fuck the norms. We have to learn to honor ourselves or we end up in the messes that we're in. So I mentioned in the last episode, I just did a reading for my solar return, and I have a Mercury return that just happened. And interestingly, my Mercury is in Leo. And what I love about this, like, again, so on brand, it's like just so good, is I'm literally here to tell you about the queen that you are here to be. I am here to cheer you on, to be your baddest ass self, to share the stories that inspire you, and to encourage you to go out and have adventures, to look at life as an adventure, and encouraging you to use your human design to help you as a map, use it as a compass to guide yourself through your life. And I'm curious, what does coming home look like for you? When you hear me talk about coming home to yourself, what does that look like for you? I encourage you to take a few minutes and journal about that, or just hit pause and consider it for a moment. Maybe think about yourself as a child and what you used to love to do, or what you liked to do as a tween. What were you drawn to? And what do you think are your current values? And then, considering both of those things, how far are you away from living those on the daily? And I would love to encourage you again to use your strategy and authority to get you closer, to bring you back onto that track. And episode 2 is all about authority. So if you haven't listened to that, I encourage you to go back and listen. So as part of my reflection on the past year and even on this first half of 2025, I realized that my one-to-one coaching container was a little vague. And for the last few years, I've sort of been purposefully vague because I want to be able to serve you where you are at. And I also realized that as a business owner, sometimes when you're too vague, people don't understand what they're getting, and so they don't sign up for things. So I've been thinking a lot about what is it exactly that I do with women one-to-one, and how does it help them? And I've come to create a clearer container that feels so sacred to me and to the women that I work with. And when I was doing that reading with Amanda, one of the things that she said was how much one-to-one work I have in my chart, as well as balancing that with collective work. And it's so true. I mean, I'm a 5/1, so that profile piece means that I'm really here to speak to the collective. And I also have so much in my chart that's about working deeply with women. And so this one-to-one container has emerged from listening, from refining, from thinking really carefully about what do I offer and how do I help women. And if this podcast feels like a mirror to you, then this offer is your map. And it's called Midlife Mapping. So it's a personalized 3-month, one-to-one, human design led mentorship, guide, coaching container for midlife women who are ready to stop outsourcing their wisdom and finally come home to yourself. I want to help you live from the inside out. I want to help you remember and reroute yourself back on track to those values that truly are important to you, back on track to those ideals and those pieces of you and your design that truly feel genuine and help you shed the shoulds. So we use your human design as our map. And it's really about shedding all of this stuff. It's like, imagine yourself taking off all of the layers one by one of the things that you've put on through the years, over the decades. And instead, you emerge as this beautiful queen who deserves to be out in the open. So this one-to-one container midlife mapping is 12 weeks of deep personalized support. That means private sessions with me. That means support in between calls. That means tools that actually work for your unique design. And most importantly, it means somebody walking alongside you to be your cheerleader. I am so the fucking cheerleader. And I am here to help you stop abandoning yourself. I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to use specific pieces of your design to say, hey, have you thought about this? Maybe this is what's at play here. Maybe you're in the shadow here, and how can you start to move into the higher expression? This is an invitation for you. And it's not just life coaching, it's reintegration, it's shedding. So I only open a few spots of this at a time because it is such a hands-on container. So if you are listening to this and feeling like, oh my God, I need that. I really need somebody in my corner. I need somebody to help me look at my human design, translate it for me, and help me understand what I need to do on the daily to come back home to myself, then this is your invitation, official invitation, tied up in a bow. And you can either book a midlife mapping call with me, which is 15 minutes. We'll hop on Zoom or the phone and I'll look at your human design and you can tell me what's going on, and we'll talk a little bit about whether it seems like it's a fit and what's going on for you. So I can look at your design and say, okay, this is your stuck point, and let's figure out how I can help support you move out of that stuckness. Or I see you, shy one, who doesn't want to book a call with me, but is definitely interested. I also have a Google form that asks you a few questions. And if you want to go back and forth via email, I am happy to do that as well. And same thing, let me pull your chart, let me look at it and see if there are pieces that will help to get you unstuck and to start moving into this version of you that you want to come home to. Okay. Now we've reached the point of the pod when I'm going to share my giveaway because it is the podiversary and I am so super stoked about making it 1 year, being consistent, showing up, dropping an episode every Monday, and supporting you as midlife women who are struggling with peri and or menopause and helping you understand how human design can help you in this phase of life. So you can win a one-to-one 30-minute session with me. Woohoo! Yes, you can win this. And I want to share a few things that I would love for you to do to enter. One is if you're not following this podcast already, please follow it wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I would love for you to download the Perimenopause Survival Guide or subscribe to the Wild Women Wisdom newsletter if you're not already on my email list. And I invite you to share your favorite episode on social media and tag me. Wherever you want to share it, doesn't matter. I'm at Lori Lisai on just about all of these socials. So tag me so I can put your name in. And I will draw a winner on July 11th, 7/11. And I'll send an email to you personally if you win, and I will also share a DM. So thank you for listening to the pod, for being here, for tuning in, for sharing. And I love you so much from the bottom of my Cancer heart. I am sending you blessings and so much love. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Midlife by Design. I hope that this episode inspired you and got you all excited to enter the giveaway. And if you feel like the one-to-one container is a good fit for you or you want to know more details, then I encourage you to book a call with me or fill out the form that I have linked in the show notes, because I would love to meet with you and see how I can support you through the summer using your human design to help you navigate whatever challenges that are coming up in your midlife years. So thank you so much for being here. And as always, I'm sending you the strength to let go of what no longer serves you, joy to fill your days, and the clarity to be who you came here to be.